Hey everybody, welcome to SOS Small Business Success Podcast. You know, each and every week I share with you guys part of the SOS strategy that I work with my clients and customers on. And I do a lot of work into the beauty industry, but I also want to be relevant and help all businesses in beauty, in wellness, in health. And if you're a small service business, certainly to be able to help you, or a small indie business or a small product business, whether you're in beauty or not. All of these techniques and all of these skill sets that I share with you each and every week can help you to be able to build your business. And what we say is build your brand so that you can survive while developing people that can thrive. Now, recently I've been attending some educational opportunities. Feels good to kind of be back in the game of learning some new things, but I always find it frustrating to be in that space of learning new things as well. And I'm going to share with you a couple insights today that I got from some others, and how it impacts us and how it can help us. So I'm your host, Bonnie Bonadeo. So welcome aboard to the SOS Small Business Success Podcast. Okay, our title today, we're in the marketing world, and in the marketing world, which is really the space that I love to play in, a lot of people are uncomfortable with marketing aspects. And you have to know a little bit to probably grow your business in 2021 and beyond. You don't have to know a lot. You do have to know a little. And this is where I kind of tie in most of the opportunity here to be able to say that if you can find a strategic something and you see it as an opportunity to be able to grow your business, then you will have success. If you try to be all things to all people, you will lack success. If you don't look at things strategically and you just throw shit up against the wall and hope that it sticks, you probably won't have success. Just because you think it's a good idea doesn't mean that it's a great opportunity for others. So you have to be able to beta test or weigh the odds of, I know I would buy into it, but will others buy into it? And this is where kind of surveying and getting the lay of the land together here and finding out really what other people say about you, what other people think that you offer. And in the business of beauty that I spend a lot of my time in, we're all under the assumption that, well, if I'm in beauty, then I make you beautiful, or I make your hair look great. I have your skin look great, or I make your nails look great. And yes, we can narrow it down to that smallest denominator of that's what we're doing. But I want you to think about over the last year in 2020, I still have not been into a nail salon in a year. It was like March 4th of 2020 was the last time I was in a nail salon. And I'm jonesing right now to go into a nail salon and get a pedicure and get my nails done because, I'm kind of playing my own manicurist here, and I'm not as good. I'm not an expert in doing really great manicures and pedicures. But now I'm at this point where it's like, I just need to treat myself. I need to create more joy in my life. I need to, not look at the fear of, oh my gosh, I'm going to get COVID if I go out too much. Instead, it's like, I want a piece of joy. And I found joy in having my nails look nice and having my toes painted a fun color, especially with summer coming. And so I get that part of it. And we're going to talk about the dichotomy of those two things today, the fear of doing something versus the joy of doing something. Because at this point, we need to start transferring over our fears back to our joys, or finding new joys, to be able to start living our life fully. Because I think that there's a lot of us that are at this very unknown place of not being well, maybe borderline depressed, maybe full on depressed, wondering if the future is going to get better, wondering if you're going to be able to get your business back to where you want it to go, wondering if you're going to survive, wondering if you're ever going to get to that point of thriving, that you might have been on that fast track to thriving. And now you're thinking, I don't know. And of course, last week we talked about stress OS, and the number one reason why we are stressed today is because of the unknown. because things don't feel congruent to us right now. Everything, our environment, our landscape, our communities, our cities, our families, our world. Okay, nothing feels very congruent right now. It doesn't feel tangible or touchable to us at this point. And we're creating this persona that the vaccination is going to give us that freedom again. But in reality, you guys know that's not true, right? Like, we are the only ones that are going to be able to allow ourselves to have that type of freedom or joy that we want back again. So I want you to think about this. If the topic is marketing today, I want you to think about, that dichotomy, that philosophy from your marketing point of view, because we're really good at sharing the negative. If somebody says, oh, well, what would you like to do? We go down the path of, well, I know I don't want to do this. Or it's like, oh, what's your favorite meal? Well, let me think about that. I hate this. So it's very easy for us as human beings to go down the path of what I don't like, what I fear, what I hate, and obviously in today's landscape, you can see a lot of that going on. Okay. And we want to get to the part where maybe we're creating opportunities for joy. Maybe we're creating that experience availability right now. People are very independent right now, and people are very autonomous. And when you have those two things working for you, what you have is people that don't want to overcommit to anything. So if you're trying to find new clients, they don't want to feel overcommitted to anything. They want to know that they've got options. If you're trying to find new staff, they don't want a job per se, but they want an opportunity. They want a choice, a career choice. They want options and everything. So we're going to just talk a little bit about the unknown lands, and then I'll have you guys finish it out with how you can parlay this into your marketing approach here. Okay. So here's the thing. Bigger brands are always going to market bigger and better than you. Okay. So if you're a small business, an entrepreneurial style business, whoever your competition is always going to market better than you. Okay. So if you're a little computer store, an Apple store is always going to market better than you. If you are a independent, or just you own one salon, a chain salon is always going to market better than you. And they're always going to be bigger than you. They're always going to have a bigger budget to be able to do that. They're always going to be able to hire the more sophisticated, savvy people to make all of these happen. So there's this point where we just have to accept the fact that, we shouldn't fear growing in our communities. We should really look at the value that we offer our communities, because not everybody wants what big box chains have. Okay. So it's like the difference of going to Ace versus the Home Depot, or, your local handy store versus going to Home Depot. Okay. There's a difference. People feel good about going to somewhere small. They feel good that it's, kind of like an owned business, not a big corporate conglomeration. And with everything going on in cancel culture right now, I think we're all looking at choices of, I don't want to partake in the cancel culture necessarily, but as a consumer, I want to make the right choices. I want to make choices that prosper other people's lives. Now, that could be the great employee at Home Depot that sold me some cabinetry for my basement. Okay. I'm still doing business with Home Depot, and he's somehow benefiting from that because we're doing business with that company. And he absolutely deserves it, because he was a phenomenal person guiding us through our purchase of some cabinetry and some countertops for our downstairs basement. Okay. If I could get that somewhere else in a smaller store, would I have considered doing that? Possibly, but there was also a matter of convenience in that. So I want you to always think from an entrepreneurial standpoint. But secondly, think from a consumer standpoint as well. So this is where we get into the FOMO or the JOMO, okay? So we've all heard the expression, the fear of missing out. Well, maybe there's the joy of missing out, okay? So maybe there needs to be more joy in the way that we're approaching things, the way that we're connecting to things, the way that we're trying to connect others to us in there. Maybe it doesn't have to be about fear anymore. Maybe it has to be about joy. So, over the last year, and I have preached this and I have seen tremendous success from these type of marketing suggestions that I've made over the last year, is where I've said safety sells. And so, to be able to promote all the things you're doing to make your business COVID friendly, to make your business COVID safe, to make your business viable for people to trust who they're doing business with, okay? It's worked really well, and people have responded well to that. But as we're kind of coming out of it, we have to shift our marketing essence. We have to shift our marketing approach. And maybe there's the opportunity to be able to look at it from a joyful place instead of a fearful place. Okay, so maybe there's joy if they miss out. So they don't want to miss out on joy. Like, I don't want fear, but I'm going to consider yes to the answer to the question if it means that I'm missing out on joy. And you get to choose. You get to choose here. Because listen, competition is healthy, all right? But not always fair, not always fair. So I had the opportunity to listen to a presentation, and it was in regards to hiring, and it was very well done. And there was a lot of statistical information that was brought into it from hiring. And of course, it was from a trade school standpoint. And the trade school standpoint was that, that a very high percentage, so over 70%, wanted to go work for somebody. So small entrepreneurial business, and or a chain type business. But they only wanted to work with somebody so that they could get enough experience to be able to start their own business. So a very high percentage of them, over 70%, were looking at it as just a stepping stone. And we know that America was built on small businesses. So, it's great that people have that entrepreneurial, that solopreneur spirit, but not everybody is cut out for that. And it's also not fair for, somebody to say, come work for your restaurant and learn all the things about restauranting, and then open up a restaurant across the street because you provided them the work ethic and the experience of running a restaurant, okay? Not ideal, but it happens, okay? It happens. So you have to be able to look at what is the joy that you're bringing your business, and what's the joy that's going to keep people there. Because there's always going to be competition, and it's never going to look completely fair. So if you're driven by fear, you're always going to be playing catch up, okay? You're always going to be playing catch up because there's always a fear coming down the pipeline, all right? But if you live by joy, you will do what's right from the inside then out. You'll make decisions based on your values, based on your drive, based on your intuition, based on your essence, okay? And this is how I define branding. Branding is sales with a soul. You're really coming from a place of yourself and putting yourself out there to be able to connect with others. It's a human-to-human connection. Marketing, on the other hand, is the strategy that you're implementing in order to put your brand out there to capture the attention that you want it to. And if you do it in a joyful way, you're going to find that what you're doing is right for you. Doesn't matter what the competition's doing. Doesn't matter what the big box stores are doing. It's only going to matter what you're doing within your community, and you're going to attract the right people, the right amount of people and the right kind of people, because it's going to be based on values and not necessarily based on, price or prestige or protection, okay? You're going to look at it from a different point of view. So when you're looking from a fearful place to a joyful place, there's a process that I take my clients through in order to help them from a marketing perspective. And the first thing we look at is, what is it you have on your agenda? What are you trying to accomplish? What's the problem that you're currently in that you feel as though it needs to be fixed? What's missing? And what I want to say is missing, what's preventing you from joy? So if there's an issue in your business and you can't seem to solve it, it is probably sucking up your joy. So you have to be able to look at, how can I shift the purpose of this? How can I how can I solve this problem in a sense, but shift the purpose of it that it becomes more of a joyful opportunity than a problem opportunity? And where we start with that is empathy. If the world had even 1% more empathy, we would be in such a different place. And I honestly believe that a lot of the conversations that are happening right now in our society, in our world, would not be happening if we had empathy. When we pin one person to another, when we pin one thing to another, when we compare, we are putting ourselves into FOMO fast. Okay? We're getting into that fear mentality, and it's not healthy. And again, listen to last week's broadcast where I talked about stress OS and how to be able to get yourself out of that stressful place. And this week we're talking about getting out of the fear part of it and into the joy part of it. You know, they say that love and hate is an emotion that you can't have at the same time. So if you're having this moment, this emotion of love, then your body is responding to love versus hate. Okay, you can't be in those same two emotions at the same time. And I'm sure a lot of you guys have seen those, and I'm always fascinated by this. You've seen a lot of those water, the scientists where they've done water tests or snowflake tests, or where they've taken water under a very, 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 very significant microscope, and they've connected it to people. So in other words, they hand this water to somebody and say, think of the person that you least like in the world, or think of a really bad, horrible, tragic situation that you've had to experience, versus handing this, water to somebody else that is, think of the most amazing experience in your lifetime and hold on to that feeling for a little bit. And then they put the water under the microscope and it's very different. Like the water is like this beautiful snowflake design when we're feeling love and joy. And then it's this dark, demonic looking design when we're in hate and fear. So our emotions are a part of our DNA, and it's a part of our level of healthy consciousness. And I think that there's an opportunity to shift our marketing at this point, and how we're trying to connect with customers, how we're trying to connect with new staff by kind of getting out of that fear mentality and going into a more joyful experience for people. What joy are you offering? What is that joy contribution that you're offering? And if you are going to place yourself into a state of empathy, an emphatic moment, what are they feeling and how can I make them or help them to feel joy? Then the answers will start to show up, and those answers are going to come from within, not out there, not like, oh, well, this person did it this way and that's how I'm going to do it. I'm just going to copy them because they seem to be the expert on this. We're doing it from the inside of how we feel and how we want other people to feel around us. Okay. 2 is answering the question, why? Why do you believe that it's needed? Why would they need it? So it's kind of creating this testing ground, as you could say, of it might be a good idea and people may say that they want this, but do they really? Okay, do they really want this? And this is where you might want to survey people. This is where you might want to try things, or try 2 different things and see which one people respond to a little bit better. There's always going to be the people that will respond to fear as a connector. And then there's always going to be the people that are going to ignore fear and respond to joy as a connector. And this could be a fun campaign to try, where you're posing the problem versus posing the solution in, say, an advertising campaign that you put out there to some type of service or product that you offer. But when you are answering the why do I believe it's needed? Why would they need it? Okay, so I'm answering it for myself, and then I'm trying to answer it for them, and I'm doing further research if I need to answer it for them and have more validity attached to it. But this is where the possibility shows up. This is when you can answer the question why, the possibility becomes real. The possibility of moving forward with it becomes more enticing and inspiring, and you're willing to go in and take some action in regards to that. And then the third thing, of course, is the the never ending, the never finished question of how. Okay. A lot of times we go to the how first. How am I going to fix this? How am I going to do this? How did this happen? How did I get in the middle of this? How did I not see this? So, and really what that does is it keeps us caught up in that fear mentality. And it also, you do the blame game with yourself and others. So the how becomes this third part here. And it's like, how can I offer it? How can I bring it to life? How can I align it so it becomes a contribution to others? And then this is where opportunity comes in. This is where now possibility converts to opportunity. And when you can convert possibility to opportunity, people will respond to it. And what you're creating is opportunity for people to feel good or feel joy towards something. Okay. And that if the fear of missing out converts to the joy of missing out, okay, they do not want to miss out on something that could be joyful for them, then you are in a really good place of how you're creating that opportunity for people to want to do business with you, okay? So again, there's two ways to get to the unknown lands here, all right? And I forgot to read a quote from the very beginning from Sir Richard Burton, so I'll go back and read that. So one is fear, and the other is joy. So in fear, you want to agitate the problem, okay? And then you want to be able to, so you want to be able to pose the problem. Then you want to be able to agitate on the problem. And then you want to like magically come up with a solution. Now, I will tell you, this is still a very effective marketing approach to things. But this new philosophy where we're trying to create more joy for people is really looking at that opportunity of being able to say, what is missing for them, okay? And is there really a possibility that this has some traction for them? And can it turn into an actual solution for them? Okay, can it really work? So I want to read this quote to you, and then I'll go back to that. So the gladdest moment methinks is the departure into the unknown lands. And that was by Sir Richard Burton. And it's true. It's true. If we step into these unknown lands, and believe me, 2020 and even 2021 has done nothing but create unknown parallels for us. Like we are seriously, learning. I've never learned so much in my life than I have over the last year. I'm grateful for all of it. And I'm glad to see that some of the things that I'm getting involved in today are teaching more foundational or even spiritual connective pieces, because I do resonate with that deeply. I want to be a hard ass marketer, and I want to be able to kind of like, get you from 0 to 60 in, 2-3 seconds flat, right? But the truth is, I want you to have a joyful experience getting there from one place to the other. So let me finish this out here. So the two ways to get to the unknown lands, one is fear, one is joy, okay? You're going to create a problem, or you're going to look at an existing problem. You're going to agitate it. In other words, rub it, okay? And then come up with a solution, all right? And, if you guys are not familiar with how a pearl gets formed, this is exactly how a pearl gets formed. So the clam, the shell, ends up getting a piece of sand stuck in it. And the sand to the mucousy part of the entity, okay, is agitated by it. So being agitated by it, it starts to create this motion of covering it up and protecting themselves until it becomes this piece of sand becomes a soft, beautiful pearl. But the only way that that happens is to be agitated, just like a piece of coal can convert to a beautiful diamond. You got to agitate it, okay? But we want to go to the joyful side, and the joyful side is really looking at empathy, possibility, and opportunity. And I think moving forward at this point, we really have to, it's going to feel like we're taking risks because of how subdued we've had to be over the last year. But I want you to look at it as joyfully returning to what you love to do, joyfully returning your business to what it was and beyond, joyfully connecting with your staff in a way that makes you feel good and makes your customers feel good. And there's a lot more to this part of marketing, you guys, and I want to be able to help you with that, because here's what I know to be true. Coming up with ideas, creating the copy, and then designing what that vision looks like is 3 steps that, as creative as you all think you are, you have struggled doing. And I want to be able to help you and teach you these patterns, these sequences of being able to do business that start to create the impact and that sticky connection that can make your business grow and help you to feel more joy in life. So if you're interested in this, I'm taking on some new clients as of this month, and certainly I'm going to be promoting that heavily as of next month, so the month of May, taking on some new clients. And if you want to get the support that you need to be a better marketer, because you feel as though you're in the FOMO mentality and you're missing out and you are wondering if you're going to survive, then I want you to be able to adjust your mindset and set your sales to success. And how you're going to do that is you're going to go to www.sossaloncoaching.com. Okay, SOSSaloncoaching.com. It's going to take, for you guys that are small businesses, you can still go there as well. And set up your free session. Set up your free coaching session to be able to have me look at where you might be agitated, and let's convert that agitation to a little bit of possibility. It's okay to ask for help sometimes. And remember, your business always needs you to grow first. So we're gonna look at this platform as a joyful experience to taking care of ourselves and getting our business back on track. All right, thanks for joining me today at the SOS Small Business Coaching and Podcast, because we're all about building those brands to help you survive and developing you so that you can thrive. Until next time.